Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome in. It's time to talk about module number 10. We're going to continue our path on modernism now, and we're going to talk about the Impressionists. Last week we learned about Edward Manet and this young group of artists who thought he was so great with a new kind of radical art style he was creating. They spin off from the Academy and create their own art movement, Impressionism, and still today it's one of the favorite modern art movements. We're going to be looking at modern architecture as well, all in one lecture, because modern architecture and modern art actually coincide pretty closely in terms of years, basically from 1851 to 1959 on modern architecture. That is also the basis for our worksheet this week, so make sure you have watched the lecture before completing the worksheet. So let me walk you over to the Canvas site. I'll walk you through this week's module. All right, here we are on Canvas. This week is module number 10. We have our usual suspects up above, such as our video, our action plan, and then we have office hours this week on Wednesdays from 3 to 7. We have my general link, but this week we do have a special link just for Chaffey students. You can use that. Feel free if you want to come in and talk to me. The two lectures this week, the first one is on Impressionism, our study guide, and then we'll take a look at the further exploration section, which has our reading. And also one of the really cool things about Impressionism and modernism in general is that these individuals are close enough to our times that we have video of them. So we do have images of Claude Monet painting and smoking. He was a chain smoker. We also have images of people like Salvador Dali and Picasso that we'll see in later sections. If you have the time, and this is an optional video down below, Ross King, who you actually saw back in the Medici documentary, he wrote a book about Claude Monet. Fantastic book. It won a lot of awards, and this is something you should check out, but it is like an hour and a half long. But if you're really into Impressionism or Monet, bookmark that and watch it after the semester is over. Now, for modern architecture, we've got our lecture and study guide. And then our further exploration section doesn't have any reading per se, but it has a couple of links. We see a lot of Falling Water in the lecture. So Falling Water is Frank Lloyd Wright's most famous house that he designed and built. We don't have video of the inside because they want you to take the tour, but we do have some video on the outside down here below. We have a link to its website. We have a link to its Facebook page, which is quite active. And then for the Stall House, which is one of the case study houses, we have a link to their website and also a map of all the case study houses here in Southern California. So that's a very unique project and one of my favorites. I love to see those types of homes. I'm going to jump down to journal number 8 real quick before I get to the project, and that is an article on Falling Water. This was scary to think now, a quarter of a century ago, there were some very bad structural issues with the building that were fixed. I want you to read through the article, identify the problems with the design. Second, talk about how the engineering firm went through and made corrections. And then question 3 is more an opinion-based question. Do you think the architect or the client should have the final word? And please choose one. Do not answer with both. So the project for this week is a modern architecture worksheet. After you have watched the lecture, choose a building that you want to discuss that was not in the lecture, that's not on the study guides or anything like that, but it is okay if you want to choose an architect. For instance, Frank Lloyd Wright. I talk about maybe 4 or 5 of his buildings. There are another 1,000 that he designed that is more than fine to write about on this project. So just don't choose the same building. For modernism, buildings have to be constructed within a particular time frame. They have to be constructed with a skeleton and skin system, and they also have to use modern materials, primarily glass, concrete, and steel are the most popular. Keep in mind that even though the years might match up, you might end up choosing a building that has columns and arches and domes. Keep in mind that is more ancient architecture and doesn't really fall into the purview of this project. So we want something that's very modernist. We have the worksheet here. We have some examples here. You cannot use the examples either for your project. But like, for instance, case study house number 8, we talk about case study house number 23 in the lecture. All the other case study houses are perfectly okay to use. So we'll open up the worksheet here. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add an image or two of the building you're going to be writing about. Question 2, skip a line. Don't just start writing right from the end of the sentence. Skip a line and write about the facts of the building, the name, the location, when it was constructed, and so on. Question 3 deals with the architects or architectural firms that built this structure you're writing on. Question 4, the major construction materials. This is usually a very short paragraph. Question 5, what makes the building you chose modern? And you can talk about it in terms of if it falls into Art Nouveau or Art Deco, for instance. You can definitely list the years, the building materials, once again, the skeleton and skin system. Why did you end up choosing the building? And then you want your sources, at least 3 sources, no Wikipedia, that's not academic level, but just provide the links for me, and that is all I need you to do. And once again, some examples here. They do not have to be as good as the examples, so don't think you have to write that much. I write down underneath here that you should have a minimum of about 25 to 30 lines when you're done with the project. Some paragraphs have more writing, some have less writing, but at the end of the day, the total of all your writing should be about 25 to 30 lines. It's not something I'm going to count. It's just something that is on average what I see students completing that get a good grade for this project. If you only write 10 to 12 lines, you know you're not writing nearly enough. If you're writing 50 lines, you're writing way too much. And I think that is everything I wanted to discuss. Actually, it's not. The breakdown of points, okay? So 5 points for just choosing the correct type of building. The length of responses, 5 points. Spelling and grammar, 5 points. Content, that's where you get your most points. That's 10 points. And then finally, the 3 source materials, and that is a total of 5 as well. So 30 points total. It is due on the 13th. However, I do have the grace period until the 20th. I don't mark down any points during the grace period. And that is going to be it for module number 10. I'll be back next week to tell you about module number 11. And keep in mind, at this point, we are now 2/3 of the way through the semester. So there's only 5 more weeks, and summer is right around the corner for us. So have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon.